I am not teaching, I am publicly learning. Hi and welcome to Learning for the Life in UK test part 552 while doing morning stretching in the second part of the video. If you participate in the morning stretching, that is at your own risk. Okay, in this video we want to, let's say, all down what we learned about notable authors and writers. And we're going to do it in a second video. So I have a second camera rolling, and on that I try to save it now on. Was there something unclear? We have Jane Austen and Charles Dickens, Robert Louis Stevenson, and then Thomas Hardy. Then Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Maybe we're going to add when Sir Kingsley Amis. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Evelyn Vaughan, when Sir Kingsley Amis, Graham Greene influenced beliefs. Evelyn Vaughan, satirical. One of the first fictional characters, Sherlock Holmes. Lucky Jerusalem, Kingsley Amis. Robert Louis Stevenson, okay. Thomas Hardy on rural society in the countryside. And Marriage of Family, Jane Austen. Okay, let's try it. Notable authors and writers of Britain. There's, for example, Jane Austen, and she wrote oftentimes about marriage and family matters. And examples of her works are Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility. And many of her works have turned into television plays or into films. Then there is Charles Dickens, and he wrote, for example, Great Expectations and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And there are some characters which are maybe referred to in daily talk, which are Scrooge. So a person could be called Scrooge, and that would mean that the person is a mean person, or Mr. Micawber. That would mean that the person is always hopeful. Then there's another author, Robert Louis Stevenson, and he wrote books, for example, Treasure Island, or Kidnapped, or Dr. Hyde and Mr. Jekyll. And then there is Thomas Hardy, and he wrote oftentimes books set in the countryside, in rural society. For example, Far from the Maddening Crowd and Jude the Obscure. Or Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, he invented the character Sherlock Holmes, one of the first fictional detectives. And there's Sir Kingsley Amis, and he wrote, for example, the book Lucky Jim. And then there are also Graham Greene, and he wrote, sometimes influenced by his own personal beliefs, books that he wrote, for example, Our Man in Havana, The Heart of the Matter, Our Heart from Havana, Declined. Okay, I can't remember who was in the middle. Evelyn Vaughan. I did write, but it goes faster than I always think. Because Jane Austen, Charles Dickens have so much written here. At the half, they're going so fast down. And Jane Austen, Charles Dickens. Robert Louis Stevenson, then directly. And I was already confused at the beginning. It goes so fast to the 19th century. To the late 19th century. There's basically just Charles Dickens and Jane Austen later. Okay, Robert Louis Stevenson, he wrote almost in the 20th century. He didn't even live there, but Robert Louis from style. Robert Louis Stevenson, Thomas Hardy, Ben Sir Evelyn Vaughan, Sir Kingsley Amis, Graham Greene, and J.K. Rowling. Let's try it one more time. And if not, then we're going to do a second. Notable authors of Britain. There's, for example, Jane Austen, and she wrote Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility, among others. And her books are oftentimes focused on marriage and family matters. And many of her works have turned into television plays or into movies. Then there is Charles Dickens, and he wrote, for example, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or Great Expectations. And he also invented characters which are sometimes referred to in daily life. A person could be called Scrooge, which would mean that the person is a mean person, or Mr. Micawber, that would mean that the person is always hopeful. There's Robert Louis Stevenson, and he wrote Treasure Island, Kidnapped, or Dr. Hyde and Mr. Jekyll. And then there is Graham Greene, for example, a bit later. And he wrote, for example, Our Man in Havana, Heart of the Matter, Pride and Rock, and The Honorary Council. Oftentimes as books about personal beliefs. And there's Sir Kingsley Amis, he wrote Lucky Jim. And there's Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, he invented Sherlock Holmes, one of the first fictional detectives. And Thomas Hardy, he wrote oftentimes about rural society, and examples of his works are Far from the Maddening Crowd and Jude the Obscure. And then there's also, for example, Evelyn Waugh, and he wrote oftentimes satirical works. For example, Decline and Fall and Scoop. And his most famous work is probably Brideshead Revisited. And then there's Jackie Rowling, she wrote the Harry Potter books. And that is according to the Life in UK Test Handbook, page 86. Also, did I skip one? I don't think so. Okay, we have done that video. I'm going to stop the camera. In the next video, we will rehearse at least our video about literature, where we're going to do the other 3 pages except of the authors already listed. If you're just here for that, you can go directly to the next video. We will do now the morning stretching. If you participate in the morning stretching, let's sit down. The legs are standing a bit more than shoulder and wide apart, and we're doing forward shoulder circuits. Down, back, up, in front, and down. One more time. And now backwards. Front, up, back, and down. One more time. And now we're breathing in and lifting the shoulders up. And out, letting them fall down. Breathing in. And out. Again in. And out. Again in. And out. Let's do it one more time. Breathe in. And out. Now we apple plucker. Breathe in and lift the arms up. And now reach always with one arm at a time higher. Pretend to take an apple, which hangs there high on an apple branch, imaginary, and turn it a bit around it, and then harvest it. A few more. And the last 2. Now we're doing the shifter. Legs are standing wide apart, the arms up to a T, we're breathing in. And out, we're shifting just to the upper part of the body over to one side. And now breathe in back into the middle. And out over to the other side. Breathing in. And out. Again in. And out. Again in. And one last round, breathe out. Again in. And out. And in into the middle. And out, we're leading onto our knees, doing the buffalo fighting its hangover. Breathe in. And out, one shoulder in front. Again in. And out, one shoulder in front. Again in. And out. And again in. And out. Again in. And out. Out. Now let's do it the last time. Breathe in. And out. Again in. And out. And now breathe in. And out, and we're hanging down. Breathing in. and out and over to one leg. Breathe in and out over to the other leg. Breathe again in and out into the middle. And now breathe in and out we come slowly up with the lower back and making it on top of the backwards shoulder. Now the garden pose. We're also pointing to the outside. We're having an underlying space between our heels. We're breathing in and letting the arms up. And we're breathing out and we're coming down. We're placing the elbows against the insides of the knees. And now breathe in and straighten up the back. And breathe out, we're coming the leg up. And breathe again in. And out, we're coming down. And breathe in and straighten up the back. And out again with the leg up. Breathe again in. And out and down. And we're going to straighten up the back. And now we're coming slowly in one straight line up. And the arms down. Now the seahorse pose. We're having a good standing leg. We're placing the heel of a mobile leg on top of the knee of a standing leg. You're breathing in. Do this only if you can do it without injuring yourself. And out and we're coming down. Okay. 3 people who have won the Booker Prize for Fiction. Booker Prize for Fiction, given out since 1968. Booker Prize for Fiction are Evan McIan, Ian McEwan, Hilary Mantel, Julian Barnes. Ian McEwan, Hilary Mantel, Julian Barnes. H.I.J. Hilary Mantel, Ian, Julian Barnes. And over to the other side. And people who won the Nobel Prize from Britain are Sir William Golding, Harold Pinter, and Seamus Heaney. Sir William Golding, Harold Pinter, Seamus Heaney. Agatha Christie's detective stories, Ian Fleming, James Bond. The 3 people winning the Booker Prize for Fiction giving out since 1968 are Ian McEwan, Hilary Mantel, Julian Barnes. And Sir William Golding, Seamus Heaney, and Harold Pinter won the Nobel Prize for Literature. And we're going again. Let's try to do that one title also. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. And cardiac exercise. We're breathing in. And out. Again in. Out. Again in. And out. Again in. Again. Again. Out. And the last round, breathe in. Out. Again in. Out. And breathe in and close the legs. And out. 3 people who won the Nobel Prize in Literature. Now, for example, I think they're all British. Sir William Golding, Seamus Heaney, and Harold Pinter. And 3 people who have won the Booker Prize for Fiction, giving out since 1968, are Ian McEwan, Julian Barnes, Hilary Mantel. And there's a poem, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, and also The Canterbury Tales and Beowulf. I thank you very much, and until next time.